The conversation ended an hour ago. They've gone home, and you're still at the table having it, except now you're arguing the other side, their side, against yourself. There's a voice that does this. It's fast, it's familiar, and it always sounds so reasonable. You're probably overreacting. It wasn't that bad. You're being dramatic. You don't hear it as a voice at all. You think it's just you being fair. Here's the unsettling part. That's the doubt-making move behind gaslighting, turned inward. It borrows the same trick a manipulator would use to make you doubt your own reality, except you're not doing it to anyone. It's a script you learned, and now it can keep playing without them, which is why it works long after they've left the room. Now, one thing I need you to hear before anything else, because this video falls apart without it. This is not your fault, and it is not a flaw. You didn't invent this voice. You learned it somewhere, and where many people learn it, it once kept them safe. We're going to find out where it came from and how to turn it down. And stay to the end, because there's one question, a single question, that catches this voice in the act. It exposes a double standard you'd never accept from anyone else. A lot of people never think to ask it. It changes which voice you believe.
You're overreacting.
4 things you say to yourself that aren't reasonable. They're self-gaslighting. We'll hold each one up to the research, trace where the voice may have come from, and I'll give you the one line that helps you interrupt it. Let's start with the one you said today. Script 1, I'm overreacting, something happened. You felt it land, the sting, the wrongness, the flush of it. And before that feeling even finished, a second voice was already there to talk you down. Don't be so sensitive, it's not a big deal. Calm down, notice what that voice does. It doesn't check whether the feeling was accurate, it just overrules it. Fast, almost automatically, in favor of not making a fuss. That's not fairness. Fairness would weigh the feeling. This just deletes it. Psychologists have a name for where this is learned. Marsha Linehan called it an invalidating environment, a place where, again and again, your feelings were treated as wrong, too much, or inconvenient. A parent who met tears with, "You're fine." A home where big feelings got you punished, not comforted. And a kid in that environment is smart. You learn to get ahead of it, to talk yourself out of the feeling before anyone else can, because feeling it out loud was the thing that got you hurt.
Don't make it weird.
So I'm overreacting isn't weakness. It was a survival skill. It just outlived the house it was built for. So here's the practice, and it takes about 5 seconds. Before you rate the feeling, name it. One word. Not I'm overreacting. That's a verdict. Try that felt dismissive. That felt like being erased. The second you put a word on it, it stops being something to delete and becomes something you can actually check. A feeling is data, not a verdict, but only if you let it finish the sentence. Script 2. It wasn't that bad. This one edits the past. A few hours after something genuinely hurt, you catch yourself sanding the edges off it. They were tired. I'm probably misremembering. It wasn't as bad as it felt.
It wasn't even that
And
bad.
this is the exact spot to understand what gaslighting is actually for. The philosopher Kate Abramson describes it precisely. Gaslighting isn't just trying to win the argument. It's trying to make you doubt your own perception and memory until you stop trusting yourself as a reliable witness to your own life. The word comes from an old film, Gaslight, where a husband dims the gas lamps and then tells his wife she's imagining the change, until she can't trust her own eyes. That's the move. And it wasn't that bad does a quieter version of it, not to anyone else, just to your own memory of the room. You're not the one who dimmed the lamps. You just learned somewhere to stop trusting your own eyes. Why would anyone do this to themselves? Because remembering it accurately is expensive. If it really was that bad, you might have to do something. Have the hard talk, set the limit, leave. Shrinking the memory lets you keep the peace. It just charges the peace to you. So the practice here is almost mechanical, and it works because it beats the editor to it. While it's fresh, that night, not next week, write down what happened in 3 plain sentences. Or say it into a voice memo on the walk home. No analysis, no case against anyone, just one time-stamped account. Then, days later, when the "it wasn't that bad" voice starts sanding the edges off, you don't have to argue with it. You read the note back. Past you already told the truth once, before the editing started. Script 3. Who am I to complain? You measure your hurt against everyone who has it worse, and, surprise, you almost always lose. Other people have real problems. You should be grateful. You don't want to be difficult. So you say nothing, and you call the silence perspective. There's a validated measure for one big version of this habit. In 1992, the psychologists Dana Jack and Diana Dill built the Silencing the Self scale. It measures how much you mute your own thoughts and feelings to keep a relationship safe. And across every group they tested, higher self-silencing traveled with higher depression. But here's the detail that reframes the whole thing. And it's the part I most want to land. When they looked at who silenced themselves the most, it climbed with the environment, not the person. Lowest in college students. Higher in mothers under strain. Highest of all in women living in a domestic violence shelter. The more your safety depended on not rocking the boat, the more you silenced yourself. So this was never a personality defect. It's what people do when speaking up isn't safe. And one more thing, because this gets miscast constantly, self-silencing is not a women's problem.
Who are you to complain?
Later research using that same scale complicated the original assumption. Men often self-report just as much, sometimes more. The same score can mean different things in different lives, so it isn't a contest. The point is simpler. No gender has a monopoly on swallowing it. The practice is one word. When you catch yourself thinking, someone has it worse but I'm upset, swap the but for an and. Someone has it worse and I'm still hurt. Hear the difference, but cancels the first half and lets both be true at once, which they are. Someone always has it worse. That's true of literally everyone, so it was never the test. Your feeling doesn't have to win a contest to earn a hearing. Script 4, the deepest one. Maybe I'm the problem. Not I overreacted to this, but a standing verdict on yourself. Maybe I really am too much, too sensitive, too needy, too difficult. Maybe they were right about me. This is where an outside voice finishes moving in. The sociologist Paige Sweet studied how gaslighting actually works, interviewing survivors of abusive relationships, and her finding matters here. Gaslighting runs on real power. It works by using real inequalities, real stereotypes, until the person being gaslit starts doing the doubting on their own. Which tells you something freeing. That verdict, I'm the problem, often isn't yours alone. It can be a recording. Somewhere, someone said a version of it enough times, with enough weight, that it kept playing after they were gone. For a lot of people, that wasn't a conclusion they reached. It was installed, and then left on repeat. And that's the opposite of a hopeless thought, because a recording can be questioned. The philosopher Miranda Fricker describes what power does to a person's confidence as a knower. You slowly lose trust in your own account of things. The repair is the exact reverse, deliberately crediting yourself again, and there's a concrete way to catch the tape. Listen for the jump from I did to I am. I did something that landed badly is a thing that happened, specific and fixable. I am too much is a verdict on your whole self. The first you can work with, the second is just the recording. The moment a sentence slides from what you did to what you are, that's the tell. Stop it there. Script 4, down. And those are the 4. I'm overreacting. It wasn't that bad. Who am I to complain? And maybe I'm the problem. 4 ways the voice talks you out of your own reality. And every one of them was taught, not chosen. Let me step out of the research for a second.
Okay.
Right at the start, I promised you one question. A fast way to catch the double standard this voice runs. It won't tell you whether you're right. It tells you whether you're being fair to yourself. Here it is. When that voice says you're overreacting, ask it, would I say this to a friend who told me the exact same story? If a friend described what happened to you in the same words, would you tell them they're being dramatic and should let it go? Almost never. You'd believe them. You'd be gentle. The double standard is the tell, when the kindness you'd hand anyone else is the one thing you refuse yourself. That's not fairness, that's the habit. Now back to what this is really about, because here's what I don't want you to walk away with. The idea that there's now one more thing wrong with you to fix. That would just be the voice in a new outfit. Self-gaslighting isn't a defect you have. For a lot of people, it's a skill learned in a place where trusting yourself wasn't safe. It did its job. you survived. And you're allowed to notice it's not that place anymore. And to be clear, this is not about deciding you're always right, or that every feeling is a fact. It's about giving your own account the same fair hearing you'd give anyone you love. Sometimes you really did overreact. But you get to find that out by listening to yourself first, not by silencing the witness before they can speak. So here's the whole thing on one page. And notice it's not a checklist for fixing yourself. It's a checklist for hearing yourself. 5 moves and you already have all of them. When something stings, name it in one word before you rate it. Write it down that same night before the story gets sanded down. Swap "but I'm upset" for "and I'm upset." When the voice jumps from "I did" to "I am," stop it there. And the master key that runs all the others, ask whether you'd say this to a friend who told you the same story. That's the whole toolkit. Not a new flaw to fix, a tired habit you can finally set down. So here's the reframe to carry out with you. That fast, reasonable voice that talks you out of what you felt isn't the sound of you being mature. It may be the last echo of someone who needed you to doubt yourself. The 4 scripts: "I'm overreacting," "It wasn't that bad," "Who am I to complain," "Maybe I'm the problem," aren't fairness. They're a recording, and you're allowed to stop playing it. One honest question to sit with tonight: the last time you decided you were probably overreacting, did you actually check? Or did you just agree with the voice? This week, when it shows up, try the friend test once. See who you'd have believed. If this put a name to something you've been doing for years, subscribe. It genuinely helps. Take care of yourself.